Good evening, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Google+. This is Rich again, back for your third and final video blog of the night for Wednesday, July 13, 2016, around 7:33 in the evening, Billerica, Massachusetts. It's a wrapping up the day. Hot and humid today. It's going to be a little bit of a cool night, but tomorrow it's all over again with the hot and humid weather. Drink plenty of water, check up on the elderly, and please do not leave any of your pets inside your cars during this hot weather for any extended period of time. Please don't do it. One little news item to report: the Las Vegas NHL expansion franchise is going to be named the Las Vegas Knights, and they're scheduled to play in 2017-2018. The NHL wanted to name a team not associated with gambling, so Aces and Black Knights and Gamble as well, so they're just called the Knights. And that's about it on news. My third and final video blog subject tonight is my personality profile. Tonight's personality profile is about the late great WWE Hall of Famer Terry Bam Bam Gordy. Terry was famous for being part of the Fabulous Freebirds with Michael P.S. Hayes and Buddy Jack Roberts and Jimmy Jam Garvin. They had a long run with the Fabulous Freebirds. Also, Terry Bam Bam Gordy was a great wrestler in Japan. He was one of the most successful American wrestlers in the land of the rising sun, and he was a great big man wrestler. He could move around. He was a great worker, and he was also kind of the enforcer of the Freebirds. Terry grew up in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and he wrestled. He made his professional wrestling debut in 1975 at the age of 14 years old under the name Terry Mecca. For a few years, Terry wrestled in small Southern wrestling promotions. In 1979, he was paired up with another youngster, Michael Hayes. They were called the Freebirds. They wrestled from territory to territory in the southern United States, winning tag team titles and becoming like a top heel tag team in the United States. In 1980, Gordy and Hayes went to Mid-South Wrestling, and they were paired by Buddy Jack Roberts, who was a veteran, and they had a threesome using the name Fabulous Freebirds. Michael Hayes was the talker, Buddy Jack Roberts was the worker and the veteran, and Terry was the big man. He was the enforcer, and Terry was a very good worker for somebody his size. He could take the pounding. He knew a lot of his moves. His finisher was the Oriental Spike, which was like a chokehold, but it was legal. In 1982, the Fabulous Freebirds went to World Class Championship Wrestling and having a long-running feud with the Von Erichs over the World Class Tag Team Six-Man Tag Team Championship. Around 1983, Terry made his first tour of Japan. He won a few titles for All Japan Wrestling, and it was a very lucrative deal. And Terry would continue to travel around with the Fabulous Freebirds, going from territory to territory, winning titles and raising havoc. And Terry would basically get stuck working six-man tags with the Fabulous Freebirds, but over in Japan, he was winning titles. In 1986, Terry won his first major singles title in the United States when he won the UWF World title. The UWF title was basically the North American title in Mid-South Wrestling, but it was rebranded Universal Wrestling Federation because Bill Watts wanted to go national. and Terry Bam Bam Gordy held that like UWF World title for about 4 or 5 months, but his Japanese commitment made it impossible for him to be a long-term champion. They had to do an injury angle to get the title off him. He was making more money in Japan than in the United States. In like 1987, the Fabulous Freebirds broke up. Michael PSA's buddy Jack Roberts and Terry Bam Bam Gordy went their separate ways. And like late 1987, Gordy and Roberts, you know, went back to World Classic Championship Wrestling, feuding with the Von Erichs, and they were like part of that fake angle with where like Fritz Von Erich faked a heart attack. But the Freebirds Von Erich feud of 1988 was, you know, very poor. Plus, you know, Terry Bam Bam Gordy was half the time not involved in some of the matches because he had to hustle back to Japan. And the Freebird feud was, you know, very old for the Von Erichs. Eventually, Terry sided with Michael PSA, who returned to Texas in 1988 as a face, aligning himself with the Von Erichs, and Terry aligned himself with the Von Erichs as well. And in 1989, Terry went to WCW with Michael PSA. They reformed the Fabulous Freebirds with Jimmy Jam Garvin. Garvin and Hayes became WCW World Tag Team Champions, and Terry Gordy feuded with Dr. Death Steve Williams. It was only for a few months before Terry left WCW to go back to Japan. But in Japan, he and Dr. Death were a tag team. They were the Miracle Violence connection. And for the next 4 years, between 1989 and 1993, Gordy and Williams, as the Miracle Violent Connection, won many tag team championships in Japan, and they made some stateside appearances, mainly in 1992 for WCW when they feuded with the Steiners. They won the WCW World Tag Team Championships over the Steiners at the Omni Atlanta in July 1992. They also won the NWA World Tag Team Championship at the Great American Bash in 1992. They dropped it about 2 months later to Dustin Rhodes and Barry Windham. It was only a short-term contract for Terry Gordy in WCW because he was making a lot of money in Japan. He was making more than the United States. And Dr. Death and Terry continued to team in Japan. But on a plane trip back from Japan to the United States in 1993, Terry Bam Bam Gordy suffered a seizure that caused a lot of permanent brain damage, and it basically, the last 8 years of his life, Terry Gordy was not the same wrestler. He was sometimes immobile in the ring. He eventually had to stop going to Japan because he was not he was a show of his former self. He wrestled in independence in the United States. In the dying days of the GWF, they reformed the Fabulous Freebirds with Michael PSA's and Jimmy Jam Garvin, but it didn't work out. And Terry was wrestled for Smoky Mountain Wrestling, becoming the Smoky Mountain World Champion briefly. He went to ECW to feud with Raven and had a major match with Bam Bam Bigelow in the Battle of the Bam Bams. They were hyping it up for the first ever meeting between Bam Bam Bigelow and Terry Bam Bam Gordy. But years prior, in 1988, Terry Bam Bam Gordy and Bam Bam Bigelow wrestled in Alabama for Continental. In the fall of 1996, Terry Gordy went to the WWE. He wrestled under a mask called The Executioner, managed by Paul Bearer, and he and Mankind formed the tag team, and also Executioner feuded with The Undertaker. They had a match at In Your House, It's Time. A false count anywhere. Undertaker beat up on the Executioner and pinning him. Gordy was just awful in this role. He was just sad to see him in a bad state because he suffered a lot of brain damage, and eventually that was his last big run anywhere. He just basically, in the last four years of his life, he basically kind of was down on himself, and in 2001 his life ended at the age of 40 due to a blood clot in his heart. It was disappointing to see like Terry Gordy pass away at an early age, because if he remained healthy, he probably could have been continued on to be a great worker, and who knows, maybe he would have had a great role in ECW or WWE in the late 1990s, but it never came to be. And his son Ray wrestled for WWE for a time in the 2000s, and in 2016 Terry Bam Bam Gordy got inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame posthumously with the Fabulous Freebirds. That's about it on Terry Bam Bam Gordy. That's about it on these video blogs: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Google+. Tomorrow, 3 more video blogs coming for you. First video blog will be about the top 10 greatest home run hitters of all time. Second video blog of the day will be about MBTA bus route 411 that goes from Malden Center to Revere Beach, the Stretler House. And the third and final video blog of the night will be my personality profile. Tomorrow's personality profile will be about WWE Hall of Famer, the late great Buddy Jack Roberts. Keep calm, everybody. I'm a Julie Button guy. Molly Wolfsmith of WCCO accent has nice legs. Elizabeth Hart so stunning, she's the best. Amy Slimsey's so awesome. Bobby Gibbs of BBC 11 has a sweet southern accent, and Linda Church is such a cougar. And in the words of WWE Hall of Famer, the late great classy Freddie Brasley of the Flat Fashion Plate, you pencil nut geek. See you later.